good morning to my Aussie friends, good evening to my America friends, and go back to sleep, my UK friends, because it's probably pretty late there right now. But no, thank you for joining me. We're here for another live colouring, and I didn't have a plan for this until about an hour ago, which is why I've seen a few of you commenting that you'd love to know ahead of time what the things are so we can colour along. That is my plan, that we will in the future try to do that a bit more, especially if we're colouring something like, you know, the Hannah Carlson or Johanna Basford or some of those ones that I know many of you own as well, so we can colour along. Today I want to do something a little bit different. I was actually hunting through my colouring books that I haven't coloured yet. I was the pile of colouring books that I haven't coloured yet is actually embarrassingly large. So I'd like to start bringing them in, but a lot of them are ones that are a bit random. Like I have a Back to the Future colouring book, and I have a Friends colouring book, and I have a million other Disney colouring books that I just haven't touched.
What is the weirdest colouring book you have?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know what the weirdest one is. Well, now you got me stumped. So maybe that's a mission for me to figure out. But I don't think I have that many weird ones, to be honest. I pick ones that I can imagine myself using at some point, and then I just don't ever get around to using them because time. So I did find, I was like, look, we're in December now, heading into Christmas, got my Christmas shirt, one of my Christmas shirts on. And so I was actually trying to find Johanna Basford's Christmas book, and now I'm realizing I don't think I own it. Either that or it's lost somewhere. I thought I had it, but I can't find it. So maybe I don't. I don't have all of her books. I do have a lot of her other books. What I did find, although when flipping through it, wasn't that impressed by this. So I did find the Taylor Swift Christmas colouring book. This is unofficial. The problem with unofficial colouring books is that you never know what you're gonna get. Let me give you a little look here. So like, there's a few pages where we could go like, oh cool, like that's clearly Taylor, and she's wearing a little cute Christmas hat. So that could be kind of fun to colour. But then there's like a bunch of just sort of filler pages, which is okay, because to be honest, it just acts like a one-sided colouring book in my opinion. Santa is a Swiftie. There we go. Lots of cats. I mean, this looks pretty fun. I'm not gonna do this today, but I was tempted. And then there's a lot of like just random patterns and stuff. So this could be fun. But none of the pages really grabbed me as like, I really want to colour that today. So I did, you can tell I haven't coloured a single thing. Oh, that's a bit cute. Oh, I didn't see that page. Imagine that as like Moscow. Has a bit of a Moscow-esque. Well, he's a bit chubbier. Moscow's a bit more slender around the face.
Do we need to get Will to change the thumbnail?
No, I think we're fine. So look, we decided not to worry about that one. And then I was like, well, we also have like the small victories, which I have done in a few live streams, and I like that they're small enough that I can actually see how little I've coloured of this. I'm terrible with actually like colouring a lot, let's be honest. I also have this one that is just fun from Thania McArdle, and this just has a lot of like fun, simple patterns. But again, I just wasn't feeling it. And then I found this one. Now, I bought this colouring book back when the first Wicked movie came out because I am a pretty big fan of the Wicked movie because I really liked the stage show. Shane actually found for me the pile of, so we don't get to go to the theatre that often, but when we do, Shane and I said, let's always buy the expensive books that come with them, because then that becomes for us the reminder of the ones we've gone to see. So it's like a souvenir from it, so right? So here we've got my pile of the ones that we've seen together. We've got Annie, we've got, no, which way does this go? This one is confusing because they're upside down. Penn and Teller, this was a fun one. We went and saw their show here in Melbourne, and we have King Kong, and we have Wicked. I saw this, this is actually from recently. Shane and I went and saw it last year, the year before, when it was back in Melbourne. But this was actually one of the first theatre shows that I saw when I came to Melbourne years ago, and I had no idea what I was going into. I actually went with family. They bought me the tickets. They bought me really good tickets, and in hindsight, I think took it for granted that they'd done such a nice thing. And I didn't know what the story was, and went in and discovering it was like the alternative story of The Wizard of Oz. I was blown away by how well they did it. And I was talking about it for years after that of like, I think it was my favorite show ever. And so when it came back, I was like, Shane, you have to come. We have to go see it again. It's the only show I've ever seen twice. And yeah, it was amazing. So when the movie came out, I was like, yeah, we have to definitely go see the movie as well. And thus, well, the timing of this works out well because obviously the new movie is now out. So everyone's talking about it again. So I was like, well, it's not Christmas, but it feels on trend. So this is actually the official colouring book, not an unofficial one. So the art in it is very detailed. But
hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
I think we've been found out. Someone has commented in the comments that this is a fake live.
A fake live?
Yeah. so.
Oh, busted. This is clearly pre-recorded.
I just want to let everyone know that this is a fake live.
You know what? It probably would have helped. I've jumped straight in today. Usually I stop and like say hello to the... I was getting there, but I got distracted in telling you what I'm doing. So that's why we didn't do our wonderful welcome and hello everyone and everything like that. So we'll come back to that in a second.
Usually there's like a 30-minute intro. Now it's like a 30-second intro. Straight into it.
I was excited to show you because this is what my brain's been doing this morning. And so I've already found the picture I want to colour as well. There's actually a lot of really fun things. It's basically playing through the movie. And these are like you can recognise the actresses here. Like this is based on the movie. I wonder if that means they've got a second one now, because I'm assuming this finishes with the first movie. So I found this picture, and I already found myself, the printout isn't the perfect colours, but this is the scene that we all know. I think it was on the posters of the original one, and I was like, oh, I'd love to try and colour this. So I've got here her, I've got my reference picture, and that is going to be my mission today. So I know this means not everyone's going to be able to like colour along necessarily, because you probably don't have this book. I mean, you might want to find it. And because I'm probably going to be, rather than doing this as a tutorial, just trying to figure out how to do it for myself a little bit. So it's a bit more of just a colour and chat. But that is the plan for today. So I've got my book, I've got my colour cube here to help me with like the sunset. I've got my swatch decks because I'm going to go with alcohol markers today with the Olo markers, because this is such thin paper. I'm going to just sacrifice the picture on the back. But I would love to do the base with like watercolor or that, but I'm not confident that this paper will handle it. It's actually not that thin. It's just not, it's got no texture or anything. So in that situation, I feel like alcohol markers is a safer option, and then I'll layer it with pencils on top to get some details in. I'm just going to use my Prismacolors because when it comes to paper being not as like good quality, the Prismacolor can kind of handle that regardless. Whereas a lot of other nicer pencils kind of need nicer paper as well, so it gets complicated. But with all that, I do want to say hello to everyone who's here. I noticed Georgia has a birthday, which is very exciting. Happy birthday. And good to see so many of our members jumping in as usual. So Lynn, good to see you from Lynn's Colouring Reflections. Terry, good to see you again. And Just Winging It Colouring, welcome to Bronze membership. Welcome to our membership. You get to post all the fun little emojis now of Moscow and donuts and all that fun stuff.
Had a few new members. Do I get to press the button?
Oh, of course. Just like spam it.
There we go.
Absolutely. Yeah, that one is
new member.
That one is for Just Winging It Colouring. Sarah Chalk, I feel like, is an honorary member at this point. Always saying hello to the disembodied, handsome voice of Shane. You've had an upgrade, Shane.
Yeah.
Hope that's not competition there, Sarah.
I suppose, like, she might not have actually seen me on video, so, you know, that's a risky call.
It's a risky call. I mean, we did a live stream together not that long ago where you actually coloured beside me. That was really good, by the way. You should go check it out. Who else is visiting us today? Who else is joining us? We've got lots of familiar faces. Also, quite a few people here that have said that they are new to the live stream, which is awesome. So thank you for joining me. I hope you do have fun today.
Also, people who are new to owning the second edition colour cubes, which is cool.
Very, very cool. If you do have any questions about that or other stuff, you can ask it throughout the stream. I will try to focus on making sure we get through some colouring, because I have a bad habit of talking and not actually colouring.
We do have a live stream where we probably spent 2 hours
going
answering
through
questions.
Yeah. So that's the best first call, is to look at some past live streams. But while we're here, Shane will read out any questions that he feels are worth answering again if I don't see them necessarily. We have another silver member. So, how am I going to... Delphini Riddle Strange 4908. Welcome to being our member as well.
Pressing the button again.
Silver, yeah, that's the point. Everyone gets a button press. Silver means you also get to join our Discord. So after this, you can come hang out with us and chat further and share your own work and stuff like that. Falling Star is here as well. Whoop, my chat just skipped way ahead. Everyone's chatting so much today that it's a little bit hard to keep up. Dorothy, welcome. Good to see you. I love seeing the same names come through. It's always really exciting. Sparkling Rose Creations, you're here for a lot of our lives as well. Carol Schaefer, is that correct? Hello from snowy Wisconsin. Snow. I'll tell you what, we have summer here in Australia. We're in December. We've just clicked over to summer, and I feel like we didn't get summer. I feel like we didn't get spring at all. The way Melbourne works is like a week of spring and then like second winter and then like third winter and then fourth winter. And then the date says that it's summer, but it does not look summer outside. And I had a heated blanket on last night because it was so cold and it's the first day of summer. So give it another week and it will be like crazy hot. Welcome Innocent Kitty to Bronze. Very exciting to have some more members join us.
Is she actually innocent?
Innocent Kitty. There's already a question here. Would you ever do a tiny color cube? I've actually thought about doing
Well, you did make a tiny color cube.
Where is it? It's like...
I don't know. It's in
here.
We did a video of smallest art
like
supplies.
It's like this big.
It's not very useful.
Not very useful. It does have cards in it. It's over there next to my desk. It does have actual color cards in it. It's just tiny. And Linda, welcome to Bronze as well. It's really exciting to see so many more people joining our membership. And like for those of you who are Silver Plus, there is also going to be another live stream after this live stream. And for today, usually I will just finish what I'm working on if I haven't got through it. We might see how that goes today. Otherwise, I was thinking for our members, I was going to give you a bit of a behind the scenes look at filming part of my main video because today I'm a little bit behind in where I'd like to be in getting our next video ready. I've shown the members a lot of me trying to learn the Blender 3D software, and I've done 100 hours working on that. But now I'm at the part where I need to film all of my front camera bits that we then put throughout the whole video. So I've got like a script written and I use the teleprompter, and it's a very different process to like this. And so I was thinking for a bit of something different. We did it with the members once, about a year ago, I think. I thought we could do that again, where you actually basically get to be like a bit of a fly on the wall while I do my filming, so you can see how it's very different to like the live streams. And
honorary producer.
Honorary producer, yeah, exactly. So very exciting. But I would like to jump in, and Em is here as well. Good to see you, Em. We're going to jump in and get started because I do want to get as much of this done as I can today. So, got my coffee, got my color cube, got my swatch decks, got a reference photo because that's going to be coming really handy with this. Although I have to keep in mind that because of my printer, this is printed probably a little bit darker than I'd like to go. So that's going to become a challenge. But I've got some paper to put under
While
here.
you're getting set up,
Yeah.
we have a question about the swatch decks in the US as to when it was going to be back in stock, because we said late November, but now we're the 1st of December. I can let everyone know that all the different warehouses have got the swatch decks. They've just got to sort of go in the right little shelf in the warehouse, and then they sort of come online. So we have got all the stock. We've just got to wait for someone in the warehouse to press the button, and then all the labels print out and they'll get sent out. So if you have back ordered a swatch decks, your order will probably go out in the next couple of days. I would say by the end of this week.
Amazing. Thank you, Shane. So I have tried to sort of even prepare some of my colours a little bit to try and just save us time on this stream. So at least for Glinda here, I've got just some of the basic, or Galinda. No, she became Glinda at the end. So I've got some colours here that I'm going to start. So my plan is I've got this colour here that I'm going to use as a base colour for her skin. Now it's going to look weird when I first put it down because it is alcohol marker and it basically makes the page see-through for a second. But then once it dries again, we won't have all these random black lines. At least I hope we won't, because she's basically ended up with a face tattoo. That's not really what we're going for. Hopefully once it dries, that'll disappear. Otherwise, we might have to abandon this project before we've even started.
Where did you get that colouring book from? Do you know?
I think I found it just at one of our local shops like Target. You could probably find it online. Let me just give you another look at the cover. I'm sure that it would be available somewhere online. Just so you can give it a look yourself. Yeah, I mean with colouring books, like a lot of colouring books I buy online, but it is like whenever I go to like bookshops and stuff, I do try and go for a bit of a hunt to find interesting new ones. Now I realised a problem I'm already coming up against that I forgot with thin paper is that the colour feathers out, so I have to be a bit more careful. I'm already I mean the good thing is with this, the background is actually going to be a very similar colour to the skin anyway, because she's got, like at least around this area, that on either side, I feel like it's a bit forgiving. But my plan is I'm not going to try and do, because the picture is small, I'm not going to try and do a ton of shading with the marker because I feel like it's not going to be controlled enough for the small spaces. So I'm kind of just using it as an underpainting, and then I'll come back and do all of the shading and the details with pencils instead. So I am just going to try and get some colour down. I'd probably like to get some colour around her before coming back to her skin, because skin feels like the thing I should have probably left till last, and here I've started with it first. So we're going to move on to her dress. Now for her dress, I've got a few different colours because, just showing you my, let me just fold this in a bit small and I can just leave it here. Her dress is pink, but it's got a very light pink almost, because it's the, what do you call this? Tulle kind of look. So I've got a few colours here. I did pull out, so I've got this, where is that? The 5.1. That's 0.1. There's 5.1. Okay, so my 5.1 is like, it dries a bit differently to that. Actually, here, you can see down here where I swatched it on my thing here. So I've got my 5.1 here, which is going to be like the main base for most of it. But then I've actually got here some colors that I can blend it into when it gets into the shadows. So I'm kind of, I think if I get down a whole layer of just this first, and then we can do a little bit of shading with the markers on the dress before sort of coming back. So my goal is to try and make this so that I can do it pretty quickly, but not give up the detail in the process. So, but yeah. And the Olo markers I actually like for this because they will, even on this paper, they will actually blend together quite well. You could kind of work in lighter layers compared to something like the Ohuhu. But I like the different ones for different purposes. I think I would love to have more of a chance to try, oh gee, the bleeding's actually really bad. I need to think about that a bit more as I go. Yeah, the Olo markers for me are really good for more of like the realistic kind of colouring, whereas if you're doing more like the bold and easy colouring, then I find that the Ohuhu are a little bit easier because the firm brush versus this softer brush just works differently. So I really like both brands. If I could only pick one of them, actually I don't even know. I don't even know which I'd pick, to be honest. One of the things I noticed with this as well, which is I guess an artistic choice, in all the marketing material, they did the bubble on here where it's just the edge so that she's still full color. Whereas in the movie, the bubble is actually like, you can't really see her as well outside the bubble. So that's like an artistic choice of, you can make it look like a bubble just by doing the outside, which is what I'm going to try and do, rather than covering the whole thing because technically there is light in front of her. So I think that's going to be a fun way to showcase her, but still get the look of being in the bubble. Which is one of the reasons why I want to do this page, because bubbles, for me, just colour-wise, fascinate me already. And it's not something I think I've... Oh, have I ever drawn a bubble? I'm not even sure.
What was the hardest colouring challenge you've ever done?
Colouring challenge or just any challenge?
Well, I suppose in your videos. Art challenge, colouring challenge.
I mean, there's some that take a lot of time, but then there's some that take like a lot of mental energy on top of the time. The video that I've just done learning Blender has actually been one of the more challenging, in that an hour of the learning just left me exhausted, and I committed to doing 100 hours. So that was just a lot. Otherwise, like, because a lot of the other big projects I've done, like the button picture or the diamond art picture that I did, like, they took many hours, but mentally they had a bit of repetition. So it's like once I sort of got through the initial creative challenges, it was really just then a thing of time and repetition.
The diamond one had an extra layer of challenge because the builders were ripping apart this room while you were doing the diamond thing, and there was like hammers and saws and tools going off at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. They were literally ripping out the window in the corner of our office, rebuilding half the room around me. It was more just a time thing. I ended up working on it day and night for like 2 weeks straight. It was a bit much. This paper is absorbing so much of the ink that I feel like I'm having to put a lot down. I don't think it's going to matter in the long run. It just means it's taking a bit longer to fill. So maybe this would have been an example where something like the Ohuhu may have been better because that lets out a lot more ink, although it would have feathered a lot more as well. So it's kind of pros and cons. I've also got with me here Ohuhu's acrylic markers that I received from them as like a little Christmas bag last week. We opened it in our last live stream. So I thought they would be good to try because I haven't tried them yet. Because we're definitely going to want to get out some paint pens for some of the nice little sparkly details on this. So I thought that could be a fun chance to try them out.
How big was the diamond painting that you did?
Oh, that's a good question. It was the size. It was bigger than my desk. So it was at least this, but it went over the desk as well.
I thought it was like 100,000 or something.
Yeah, it was 100,000 diamonds. I'd love to know, would everyone like me to do another diamond painting? Like, we could do it in a live stream potentially. If that's something people are interested in. Because I know a lot of people watch the original one, but because it's not... Like, for me, it's almost more of a jigsaw puzzle than art. Like, it's kind of that weird combination in between. So it's like, is it actually fun for people to watch, or is it just sort of nice to do? You know? Because if I'm going to do it, it can't just be something I enjoy. It has to be something that's actually also interesting for other people to watch and learn from, potentially. So, love to know. Is it something you're interested in? Doing more diamond painting?
I've started a poll.
All right, got our base layer down. So now my plan, I've got, what's this one? The 5.3 is kind of like my first halfway color. And then I've got the RV 0.4 is gonna be more of my deep shadows. So I'm actually wondering, no, I should work my way up. I shouldn't go straight into the deep. So now I'm gonna kind of look here as to where it's building up the different sort of darker colors. And we'll just kind of pop it in, and then we'll come back and do the lighter layer to kind of mix it all together again. So the picture's not exactly the same, but there is quite a bit that's similar with the folds of the fabric and things. So I can follow it for the most part and just see how that goes. I might, as I go, actually come back with... Wait, that's not the right color. Got to make sure I do the right color. You know what? I'm going to pull this off. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to rearrange for the purpose of this one thing we're doing. So I've got my 5.3 and my 5.1. And now, because I put them together, I can literally just take both ends off and flip as I go. Ah, that's fun. That's a better way to do it. Look at that.
Rose is working on a big wicked diamond art.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. There we go. That's a great system now to be able to just flip back and forth. Can't do that with the Ohuhu. All right, so I'm somewhat following my picture and somewhat just looking at where the fabric folds over and sort of assuming that there will be shadows underneath it. So it kind of makes it look a little bit 3D, hopefully, in just the way it sort of sits on top of itself. I think for the most part it's working. It is a lot quicker being able to just flip the pencil back and forth rather than taking the lids on and off, because I'm the worst at getting stuff all over my other hand just with taking lids on and off. So.
The question in the comments on how is your jaw doing?
So I had surgery 3 weeks ago now to just try and help with the movement in my jaw. And it's not like a permanent fix, but it has done an amazing job. It's still technically out of place, but that's something that's probably never going to change. It's something that I just kind of have to learn to adapt to. So I've been doing a lot better. So thank you. I haven't had pain for the last few weeks. The only thing I've had is like crackling that's like the sensation of like massive popping candy in my mouth. So I've already told my family, please do not buy me popping candy, because the experience of popping candy for me has been completely ruined because it just feels like my jaw's messed up. So yeah, permanent popping candy in my mouth is not necessarily the experience I want, but it definitely beats the pain that I've basically been dealing with for the past year. So I do feel a lot better. I'm glad that we're able to kind of do these live streams again and not have me have to like get a heat back afterwards. So it's definitely been an improvement. Now I'm realizing her dress is actually darker around most of the bottom because that's naturally going to get less light. So I might add a lot more dark just around here in general. And just leave a few bits lighter on the edges where the light might still hit. Getting there. I feel like it's working pretty well.
Do you want to recap what markers you're doing and what book?
Yep, so this book is the Wicked official colouring book. Perfectly timed for their new movie. I did buy it. They didn't like send it to me. It's not like some promo or something. I just like the movie. I haven't actually seen the new one. Curious if anyone has seen it, although please don't spoil it for me. And then I'm using at the moment the Olo markers. So they are going to go through the page. In fact, let's have a little preview. Yeah. So they're going to go through the page. I'm losing the page behind me, but it allows me to do all these little effects that I'm doing. And I like that I can flip the marker as I go. That's just a fun little bonus. And once I'm done with the markers, I'm going to come back with the pencils and do some sort of more details on top. So yeah. But no, I think this is coming together pretty well.
Do you currently own all 160 colours of the Olo markers, and are you planning on getting the 96 new colours?
Oh, yeah, I actually want to talk to Olo and see if they're happy to maybe even send me some. We'll see. But hang on, make sure I get the right colour on the right side now that I've got the lid. I have, this is my set. So I don't even know if this is all the colours. I don't think it's all the colours. I think there's more. I need to get the stand that they have where you can like put them all. So I'll have to work out what I have and then work out what I'm missing, because I would like to get the rest of the set. All right, I'm going to split my marker again. I never thought that I'd be doing this like halfway into a project, like breaking the markers apart. But it's actually really handy to make sure I use the right marker, because often, like with other markers, I'm putting them down and picking them up. It's really easy to grab the wrong one. So this is kind of just, especially because they are double-sided, it's allowing me to not pick one up and then have to double check the side every time. I'm just building new combinations as I go.
I feel like this might be a question that comes up every live stream, and I'm going to read it out every time.
Yeah.
Have you heard back from Crayola yet?
No. Nope. We haven't.
They didn't ghost you, did they?
Oh, Shane, stop stirring the pot. He loves to push buttons. I don't know what Crayola are thinking. I'm also going to stop making all these comments about it, because you're going to get me in trouble. I do intend to make a video when their new product comes out, whether or not they decide to send it to me. So this is not the end of the story, and we are paying attention.
Do you ever copy the pages onto like different papers so that you can colour it sort of outside the book?
Yeah, sometimes. I actually like the challenge of trying to do it in the book. But I definitely I like using when you've got, sorry, my words, because my brain's trying to multitask working out what I'm doing here. I like when you can print them yourself, because then you can put it on any paper. A lot of the time I just work with what's in the books anyway, especially because as I'm colouring, a lot of this is not just for me. Like I'm doing it on this channel, and so I like to make sure that what I am doing can actually be copied by other people if they try. And if I'm going and copying it to like my own fancy paper every time, it kind of limits everyone else's ability to sort of follow along and join in. So I try not to. Depends on the project. The one that I am probably one of my favorite pictures, and it's actually up in the corner, and I don't know if I've got a camera on it, but up there in the that one. There's a picture up there that I did that I copied from a colouring book and then copied it to my own paper, and then didn't even copy all the lines across. I didn't print it, I traced it, and it's probably one of my favourite pieces because I was able to really push the limits on it and challenge myself. And I think I like it a lot because I put it on my own paper and didn't just colour it in the book. It also means it's more light fast ultimately as well. So I do sometimes. It really depends on if I'm just feeling like colouring or if I'm really wanting to create a piece of art. Because if I'm wanting to create a piece of art, I'm more likely to want to come and actually put it on nice paper. Whereas if I'm just sort of wanting to colour and enjoy the colouring, then I'm more likely to just stick with what I've got. Now, is that my... Yes, it is. My light colour. So what I'm doing at the moment, so that you know, I've got my darkest colour and my middle colour. So my darkest colour, I'm just coming in now in some of these really dark spots that she's got here, where there's a bit more shadow under some of the layers. And then I'm flipping over to my medium colour just to try and blend it back to the rest that I've got here. And a few times I've gone back to the light colour if the medium colour is now not matching the light colour. So it's a little bit of back and forth. But hopefully it means that we end up with a really good just different colours in her dress even before bringing out the pencils. Because I can do a lot of this with the pencils, but the more I do with the markers are a lot quicker and it's going to probably look smoother. Not necessarily. It might actually end up, because of the paper, looking blotchy. So we'll see. We'll see how we go. We'll judge as we go. It's interesting how they've added all these details. I guess that's they're sort of trying to create that, all these little circles. That's the kind of thing I'd probably rather do myself just with a white pen. But they've sort of brought it in because I guess colouring books is always that challenge of if it's aimed at kids, you kind of want to give them more detail. If it's aimed at adults, a lot of adults like to fill in the detail themselves. But then if you were to do this without all the detail, it would look really plain, and it looks like a kid's colouring book then. So it's this weird, confusing thing where more details makes it somehow feel more adult, and yet it actually is less practical if you're someone who wants to take it to a really detailed level. So it's kind of counterintuitive in that way.
Do you think it would have been better if they did those details in a light grey?
Yeah, yes, for me. But again, I think it depends on what is your goal? If your goal is to sort of hide all the lines and make it look realistic, then that's when maybe you're better off just tracing it to another piece of paper. in this case, like, I don't mind that it looks a bit like a colouring book, because it is like I'm colouring, I'm not creating an art piece, and which can be both, by the way, but like in my head, I'm enjoying the colouring and enjoying the process. I'm not trying to create something that I'm going to frame. So in that case, I don't mind having a bit of the extra stuff like that. All right, now this lower area definitely can be a bit darker overall.
While you're doing that, updates on the colour companion. So the other day I sent out the first update to our colour companion email list. So if you're interested in the companion, or if you've bought the digital colour cubes and you haven't signed up to that list, there is a link in your order confirmation email. But otherwise, you can email us and we can send you that link. But that'll give you updates on how we're tracking with it, what art supplies we've put in there, and different background on features and stuff like that. So we are still looking at January at this stage now, but we'll keep everyone updated. But we're really happy with how it's going and how everything's working, so it's really exciting.
Shane has been in particular working really hard on the companion lately, making sure that everything's coming together, making sure we've got some good brands being added as well. We will at some point open up like a suggestion thing for the brands you want to see added, so that is coming. Probably not ready for it yet because we've got enough of a big list of the ones that we know that are going to be the highly requested ones, and just getting them in for a start is kind of the priority. And because we don't want to hold up the whole launch just to add in the brands, like we want to make sure that the rest of the website's sort of ready to go first, because we can add brands forever after that. So
there's a couple of people who mentioned they didn't get that update. There's a few different sort of levels of updates that we put in there that you can choose, because some people just want to know when it's ready and other people want to know like every time we add in more art supplies. So I sent that email out to the people who wanted like all the details, but if you weren't signed up to that, you can go and change it if you want more updates, or if you miss that update, you can always just email hello@sarahnaeclark.com and Holly will send you out that update, because I send them to her as well. And so if you missed anything, we can give you that latest update as well.
Cool. All right, I think I'm kind of done on what I can do without then going way too dark on this. So I'm going to come in with some pencils now, because there are still some bits that I want to kind of work on a bit more. It doesn't help me that the colouring page version of this is quite different to this. Not because I can't do the reference photo, but because like for me the colouring book version doesn't sit as beautifully. Just the way the bottom sits isn't as nice. I mean, I could probably like draw some extra bits in, but I feel like that's more effort than I probably want to go to for this particular page. So I think I will just work with what I've got here and have a go. Did I pick, the question for me is, did I pick a colour to be like what's this one, 930? This might work to help me, it's a bit pink. All right, you know what? I haven't actually swatched out on my swatch decks my Prismacolors yet, so I've got my old faithful printable swatch thing here.
How dare you?
Well, this is still ours. We'll still get this.
Fair enough.
So what I'm looking for, I mean, this is again darker, which is kind of throwing me off a bit, but I am looking for something for these really deep reds. So actually like this 937, which is not the one I've got here. The 937 is almost perfect for that. The 930 might be better for some of my other areas, but the 937 is like, so I wonder if I have that here, because I didn't pull that one out already. Let's see, it's none of those. I also need to sharpen some of these. 195, what do we got? This is the only problem with my system of having them in cups, is that I have to like pull them all out to find one colour. And it's probably the colour I use the most. It's probably like really small, but it's actually not. It's not in there. All right, what do we got? 96. Because the colours are not, like they're pretty accurate to the outside in most cases, so I should be able to spot it fairly easily, but...
While you're looking for that, the companion lifetime offer is available until launch. So once the companion launches, then the discounted lifetime offer will go back to its normal price. So you have got at least until the end of this month. The other thing is the Black Friday sale ends today. So if you haven't had a look, I'm going to post a link in there. And you can have a quick look. You can get the swatch decks and the studios discounted. You can get all the colouring planners discounted, and you can get a free stick book journal. So have a look at that because that ends today.
Cool. Which is like Tuesday for us. That's like trying to get Cyber Monday in for everyone in America.
Well, the countdown timer does say 0, but we'll leave it until the end of the day.
Oh, Shane's nice. All right, I found it. It was in my brown Vegemite container, not in my red container, even though it's on my red chart. So that was on me. So I've got this darker color here. No, that's not the darker one. That's just more of a red because I thought I'd pull that out as well. And then I've got this darker one. So the darker one is 937 and the lighter one is 925. And between the two of them, I feel like I can do a bit better detail in her dress. So, because this, I mean, pencils is my comfort zone. So you could definitely do some of this just with the other stuff, but I like pencils.
What's your favourite sharpener?
This is the one that I've bought a few of now because I like them. It's the Dahl 133, not to be confused with the Dahl 155. That one is not as good. It leaves dints on your pencils. The 133 is my go-to. I did for a while use the little T-Gull as my like favorite because it was more portable and everything, but I found that it goes blunt a lot quicker. And from what I heard from other people as well, the quality wasn't as consistent between them. So I do find myself going to this one more than anything. It's the one I keep coming back to. So I guess, yeah, if I was to say again which is my favorite, that'd be it. M&R also make basically the same one. I compared them side by side and I just think they're a white labeled version of the same thing. So if you can't get the Dahl, you can get the M&R version. Same thing, different brand name. I feel like this is the kind of thing where I could spend like 15 minutes or like 4 hours. Not today, we're not spending 4 hours. But I could because I kind of just like, I like tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it. And every extra little shadow I add just adds, you know? And sometimes it's hard to stop. I also need to be careful not to darken this too much, which is why I've gone for the red and not for like a black, because it would be very easy to go from little shadows to massive contrast where it looks like the dress is actually different colors. I already feel like I'm a little bit on the border of that issue, so I need to be careful. I mean, again, ultimately, it's a colouring page. It's supposed to be fun, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I am noticing they all have a bit more of just a dark rim around the pieces, so I'm trying to sort of, yeah, go along the lines a bit more with the darker colours. Knowing when to stop is definitely a challenge. Mel, those are very true words. What's that line? I can't remember who said it. That art is never finished; it is only abandoned. A famous quote from an artist from many years ago. It's very true. I think the tricky thing here is that the colors, like my colors, looks like two very different pieces, and it helps me to look up at my screen sometimes, which Shane's just taken away from me because of the camera. But when I'm looking at the screen that you can see, it actually helps me to kind of stand back because I'm very close to this, and sometimes that works in your favor because you're looking at all the details. Other times that means that you can't see the bigger picture. So it actually helps me to look up and see what you're seeing, to sometimes look and go, okay, like, have I overdone the shadows in this area? Have I done too little? Because it's a different perspective. And I guess if you don't have a camera, the best way to do that sometimes is to just step back and look at everything from a distance and get just that different perspective. Because yeah, it can really help to just go, oh, hang on, I see where I've sort of got that wrong here, or I've done too much or not enough. It can really help just to get that perspective. Because you definitely see things. I've even seen people hold their art up in a mirror as a way of like just seeing it from a different angle, and even that can be really helpful to just try to get yourself away from the piece sometimes. I've got this lighter. This is a PC 928. 928. I'm going to write down there because I always forget to keep track of them. Just using this because it's the lighter color to kind of maybe a little bit darken some of the areas in the light sections. This will also transform quite a lot when we come back and put some of the lighter colour on top with the paint pens. I think that's probably where you'll see the biggest change. And because it is like a whimsical kind of thing, we can use that to our advantage of just like adding more sparkles, essentially. Adding glitter in a way to kind of hide a lot of the little things that aren't quite perfect. All right, I'm trying to work out, am I kind of happy? Do I want to keep going? I feel like I do need a few more little bits.
Mel said in the comments that she's heard about colouring or painting the image upside down so that you can look at the shapes and actual colours and not the item.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, I find that when I'm looking really close, I actually look at the colours a lot. It's not something I personally find to be too hard, but it's definitely something I know that a lot of people do struggle with, where here you're just seeing the pink, whereas for me, I'm looking and I see this dark patch and this light streak, and that's what I'm copying rather than just copying the pink, and that's how I'm seeing, which is harder when the image doesn't like perfectly match, but that's essentially what I'm sort of trying to do. If you can't do that, colouring upside down is a really good way to stop your brain trying to see the big picture and actually just focus on the colours in front of you. So definitely a good exercise to try. Yeah, great idea. And I think it's about just, making adjustments gradually. I don't know as I'm putting down each piece what the next piece is I'm going to do. I'm just sort of looking, going, okay, where does it need a little bit more? Where does it need a little bit more? And just coming around and back and forth a lot. Just looking at my picture, looking at my final one and working out, okay, like, is this bit here too light? What does it need? Actually, she doesn't have as much light there. And I mean, this panel here is a bit more like this panel here. So this one here becomes a bit more of my reference. And I realized that actually she doesn't have this big highlight that I've left on it. So let's get rid of that, you know? Let's pull some of this slightly darker color over a bit more, but very carefully.
Dorothy B says that it's looking great.
Well, thank you. I'm pretty happy with that. I think she's looking pretty good at this point. There's just a few bits like this that I'm like, hang on, there is a loop there, so let's not lose that. I can also come back and tweak this once I've sort of done the rest of the picture. Like, you know, even if I abandon it now, I can always come back. But even just those little bits there has helped to just define that actually they're creases. Yeah, so let's make them creases by adding a shadow on one side. So even just those little things can help a lot. Even technically, like after I add the white sparkles all over the whole thing, I can still come back and just add a bit of pencil, even sometimes use the pencil on top of the white areas to like change the color. You have to be careful not to scratch it off accidentally as you go. So it's kind of never too late to just add a little bit more. Unless you've like varnished the whole thing, then it is too late. All right, I think I'm feeling pretty good about this. I think I've captured most of the bits that overlap each other. Once I've sort of got some other stuff together, I might see some more things. I do notice that her bodice here has a lot of details, so I'm going to just look at the general lighting, and then the detail again will sort of really come in. Like, I'm not following the colouring book here as much as just looking at where the dark patches are, where the light patches are, and that this will really come together at the end with the lighting, because it essentially is just a big thing of glitter. So I'm just looking at where the big changes in colour are, and that should be enough to create the look that she's got here before we add detail.
Did you have any formal training in art or painting or colouring, or any kind of classes here and there that you took on your own?
No, I've just dabbled. Just always dabbled. And it's amazing, like, if you just try and challenge yourself to do new things over time, like the new things are always pretty scary, but over time you will build the skills through those new things that you try. And so you end up learning a lot just by doing. That's for me how I've learned everything, is just by just taking a risk and having a go and knowing that it might not end up great every time, but also sometimes you just have to keep playing with it, and even something that looks bad ends up looking really good by the end. So there's a bit of just trusting the process for sure. Yeah, I think I'm ready to go back to her skin now. This is going to be a bit tricky, but we can do it. I've got my base layer down already with that light color, and I did try to work out what colors I was going to use on top, and I've assigned, what have I got here? Because again, this is quite dark, and the shadows on this picture here are going to be way too dark for what I'm wanting it to look like. So I've pulled aside 1092 in the Prismacolor and 939 as the two colors that I think will help me to achieve what I'm going for. Let's give them a sharpen. Is there a trick to make fabric look different in texture? Yeah, a lot of it is just, again, looking really close at the lighting. In this case, as much as this is a tulle, it's so far away that the only hint you have here is not actually the texture itself, but how the lighting bounces off it. And in most cases, it's actually the lighting that shows you the texture. So because this is so far away, if this is tulle or a thick piece, you're not really going to tell. But once I add the lighting on the edge, that will help make it feel lighter. And even just the way it sits on her is going to make it lighter. Our brains make assumptions. But it really is just looking at what you see and looking at where the light hits and where the shadows hit and just trying to copy that as well as you can.
There was also, I remember when you did the alcohol markers with Kat, and she was using like paper towel or material after she put the markers down. She kind of pressed it with different things to get some texture as well.
Yeah, you can definitely add texture with just different techniques, or just like, you know, with pencils, just drawing little bits and pieces. But I think the key, and like water is probably the best example of where this gets really hard, is you've got it in your head, like water is clear. So you're not drawing the water, what you're actually drawing is the light reflecting. And so just spending time looking at pictures, putting them upside down, putting them in the mirror, all these different things, and trying to teach yourself to see, even make them black and white can sometimes help, to see where the light and the dark patterns are, rather than trying to go water. I'm coloring water, because you can't, it's clear. Instead, it's, okay, what I see here is a dark color. It's the same with the bubble here. Let me show you the bubble, because we're going to come to this, hopefully, towards the end of this, where this is a big transparent thing. So how do you draw transparent? What you have is here, the light reflecting. Even the little strips around here is the light reflecting. The different, this big bit here is, again, it's white, but it's actually just a big light reflection because that's where the sun's bouncing. Down here, it's actually reflecting from the ground, so it's actually round in a different way. And this is almost like a distorted version of the things around it. And then if you look at the smaller bubbles, it really is just different light rims. It's really just reflecting, and these are all quite different to each other, but just reflecting the light in different spots in different ways. So reference photos can be a really good way to learn that and to just copy what you see. It does take practice, and I think using a reference photo for stuff like that is better than trying to necessarily follow a tutorial, because you'll learn how to see that stuff for yourself and you'll be able to sort of transfer that knowledge across to other things. Now, in saying that, I don't think I've ever drawn a bubble, and we're about to find out if I can do it. But I'm going to give it a go. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think for me, I think where I do have a bit of just natural skill here is my ability to copy things. And so if I have a reference photo, I can eventually get there and I can see what's not quite right. I mean, this isn't a perfect copy of this, but that's also something that, like, if I spent 3 hours, I'd get a lot closer. And I probably would do this from a drawing rather than trying to color in a page to match it, like if we wanted to really make it a copy. But it's about deciding how much you want to sort of pull across and do that detail. But I definitely find, like, even here, I'm looking at here where her skin goes from light to slightly darker as my reference of where I'm putting the color now on this one. So even though it's not quite the same picture, it still gives me a sense of where the light falls and where the shadows fall. If you want to change the lighting, that takes a bit more skill. And that's where lots of practice is the best thing you can do to help yourself, prepare yourself for that. I might actually come and work out where some of the shadows are, because I feel like that's going to help me to then fill in the gaps between the light and the dark a bit more. It's like in her case, she has quite a distinct shadow here because of the way she's holding her neck and because of the way her neck muscles are. Now the shadow in the picture is quite a bit darker, but I'm going to keep it light because this is ultimately, like, I'm not going for full realism, but also just because my reference picture here is darker than maybe it should be, so it's a little bit hard to judge. And because the picture's quite tiny, that I don't want to overdo it in detail and therefore lose the ultimate just idea of what this is.
Scott has joined the chat and has mentioned that your artwork is pretty.
Hi Scott, good to see you. Scott has just released his new book, Becoming an Artist, and it's been a really good read. I do recommend it. So she's also got quite a bit of just darker shadow around these different parts on her arms. So I'm going to put that here. And again, mine isn't as dark as her picture, but I think I'm okay with that because it'll give the whole look of her a bit lighter. Whereas if I go too much in the details, I have the risk of making it a lot darker than it needs to be. And that doesn't really fit the theme of Glinda in general. So we're going to follow it mostly, but we're going to not follow it entirely, just because it's such a small picture as well. Could probably do with one darker colour maybe. Well, I think I overdid the shadow on her arm because now it looks like her hand's like inside out or backwards. That's okay. All right, back to our middle colour, just to kind of soften the transition there between that dark and light. I do think I'd like to go a little step darker with this actually. So I'm going to have a look and see if I've got another colour that will kind of just for the really deep shadows, just go a little bit darker. Right, what do we got? Let's have a look. We've got, this is probably getting a bit, well, I think this is the colour that I had assigned for her hair with this colour. So maybe we can do that at the same time. Because her hair's blonde. I always hate trying to draw blonde because again, it's kind of like, it really is just playing with how the light bounces off. You're not really colouring blonde because it sort of doesn't have a lot of colour. So actually what we're colouring is the shadows and I need a sharper pencil. So actually in the picture, if you disregard, like again, trying to look at the whole thing as blonde, it's actually really dark on some of these areas in the shadows. Like it almost, if you hid the highlights, almost looks like she's got brown hair. And so again, it's like just working with the shadows to then create the overall look and trying to look past what your brain tells you the color is supposed to be and instead looking at what is the color? What is the color I see? Instead of trying to work with that. So in this case, it's shadows in the dark colour to then show us, okay, yep, that's hair. And then we leave the highlights so that hopefully it still feels blonde. Yeah, that's kind of worked pretty well in that. What did I want for, let's have a look, what's this colour? This might work for my very careful extra shading on her face. It might be a bit too red, but I'm going with it anyway. So I just want to just very slightly darken. That is quite red. Whoops. Just a few of these areas. That's feeling pretty good. What she's missing is lips. They're quite subtle. Wonder if I can find a colour here that might work. Not that. Should probably just look at my swatches, but sometimes I just assume that I'll be able to find it really quickly and I just keep grabbing. None of these are quite right. It's way too light. And that's way too red. Again, it's just playing with the tiny little shadows, which is very hard when you're doing it this small, but I'll make it work. actually feel like I need a really tiny like grey or black or something. I wonder if even just this really dark brown, because in her eyes here, she's actually, most of her eyes are actually in the shadow. And I think I've just like deleted her eyes accidentally. This is a problem when it's this small. It's really hard to kind of get that fine detail without just losing everything as a result. Yes, I might need to come back and fix that eye with the paint pens because she's just kind of lost her eye. Whoops. Sorry, Glinda. This is probably one of those I should just walk away moments and just keep going and everything else, rather than tweaking, because it's like every extra little tweak makes it a little bit worse. It's okay, we're okay. She's not, it's just, this is the problem with doing stuff so small. You get really stuck on some of this stuff.
Aussie Crafter has joined the chat.
Hi. It's nice to see. Oh, now I look like a... Faces are hard when they're so small. We're okay. We'll make a comeback. It's okay. It's okay, everyone. Just her eyes looking a bit sad at the moment.
I mean, she is trapped in a bubble.
I mean, that's fair. And she's unhappy, pretending to be happy. I mean, skin and faces and everything is always the hardest part, and even after all the colouring I've done, I don't do a lot of like people because they're hard. So it's good to challenge myself. All right, I think it's mostly okay. Just it doesn't really look as much like her right now. So I'll fix that with like, I need like a fine liner just to really touch up that final stuff, but that's okay. Her crown, I feel like actually the key to the crown is going to be to do the background and then come back and do the crown on top rather than trying to draw the crown and then colour around it. So she's almost done. The question is, do we want to stop and like do the background now, or do we want to do some fun paint pen details to like really make her feel finished in this moment before we move on? I think for time I probably should do that, because if I ran out of time in the background, I'd hate to miss out on detailing her dress, you know? I can't do her wand until we do the background, but we'll come back to that. So let's have a look. We have got two different types of Ohuhu alcohol paint markers, acrylic paint markers, because for some reason, all the brands lately don't just bring out one type, they all bring out two. And I don't know why. I don't know why they all bring out multiple paint markers that are different labels. Doesn't make sense to me. But we're going to find out what is the difference and what is the ones that we want. So these are giant. I mean, maybe that's the difference. So we've got giant ones here. And then this one seems to be a bigger set. Ooh, 3 whites and 3 blacks. That's helpful. I don't think I've ever seen a brand do that. That's really useful. I don't know if they're going to have the right... I'll just apply a few of the light pinks because we'll see what we've got. Is there any more? Yes, there is actually. The colour range is pretty good. So we've got some options. Maybe that one. All right, so this is the Ohuhu Kalalu acrylic markers, 30 colours with a brush. And these are the Ohuhu Nahuku acrylic markers that I don't know what the difference is. So we're going to find out. I've heard a lot of good things about these markers. I've never tried them myself. These ones say shake then enjoy. I think even if a marker doesn't say shake, when they're acrylic, it's probably just good practice anyway, because it's going to if the paint's better mixed, it's going to work better. These ones say to shake, and you can hear the thing in them. These ones don't say to shake, and if you do shake them, you don't hear anything. So there's a difference there already.
A couple of members who have joined the chat.
Amazing.
Melanie from Seattle, Washington.
Hi.
And Lady V, long-time watcher, owns both Colour Cube's first live that they've caught. And Maria from Massachusetts.
Awesome. Buried under blankets. Waiting for snow. Oh, I love the idea. The only snow we have is like the fake white snow that we add to things.
The kind of snow we get is the snow that you like chip off your freezer when it like builds up the ice. That's like our snow.
Yeah. Okay, so these are a big, what do I need? I need to just pull one of these pages out. Okay. All right, so this is the which one's this? The Kalalu. So this is a much bigger pen, but then you could also do quite fine with the tip. So you've got lots of options there. Seems to be pretty good for colour. Obviously hard to know how opaque it is on white paper, but they seem all right. So that's them. These are also...
Do you want to move that into the camera, Sarah? Yeah.
Sorry, yep. These are also paint markers and also brush tip. They seem to let out a bit more paint compared to those ones I just showed you. Are they as opaque? I don't know. Well, they seem pretty good. So, let's work out what we want to do with these on here. Now, first I do need to work out which colour I'm doing because the colours might be a bit much on everything I'm doing. So we're not going to use necessarily, like I'll do a lot with white, but I do want to see if there's any other colours that's way too yellow that are close to the pink. This one might work just to help add some like just dots and stuff. Otherwise my intention was to mostly use white because that's the colour of sparkles. Oh, this is a good light pink. That's probably more what I'll be using. And then the white. Now that's still watery, which means it needs more of a shake. So yeah, I'm probably going to use those two mostly, and I might just keep this darker pink as an option if I want to sort of touch up any areas here. Can someone explain to me what a nope rope is? I'm just noticing it in the chat. Apparently it's an Aussie thing that I'm supposed to know about. I don't know. All right, so my plan here, I'm going to start on her top, and I'm basically just, instead of drawing lines, I'm just drawing everything in tiny dots, because if she's got like a sequin top, the light's going to reflect differently on every little piece. And so this is my way to make it look sparkly, is by adding many, many little dots on the areas that we want to sparkle. At the moment, I'm doing it with the pink. I'll come back over it with the white, and I might, at least for this top, bring in some of that darker pink as well. Darker, it's like not really dark at all. In fact, that other pink just looks like white once you put it on here.
So apparently a nope rope is a snake.
Oh yeah, that's fair enough.
I've never heard that.
No, I've never heard that term.
I completely agree with it.
It makes sense. It's a good name. Is that what everyone else says about our country, rather than what we say about our own country? All right, so already that top's looking more sparkly. If we go from the top, you can see it. It also allows me to cover up some of those black dots that just kind of there. So I might even find one of these darker ones. This one might not be the right kind of pink though. Yeah, no. I might need to go back and find, or you know what I can do? Once this dries is come back with my pencil and just go over the top to get some of these darker ones back in as well. So you could actually like follow the dots along here and cover them with paint pens, and it would create a bit of that sparkliness, but I am just going to leave them underneath and just kind of ignore them and just make my own rules. But yeah, that's already making that look glittery by just adding lots of dots. Can never add too many dots. So I'm going to do similar through a dress, but not as much through her dress, because as much as her dress has glitter through it, it's not like entirely glitter. So just kind of creating just a sense of the light bouncing off the different bits in different ways.
According to Innocent Kitty, spiders are land octopus.
I've definitely never heard these terms.
That is pretty funny though.
Agreed. So I'm kind of using this pen just in areas that are already kind of the similar colour, so that it's really subtle, but it is allowing me to get rid of a lot of the circles, and it will hopefully from a distance just look a bit like, oh, what's that? Is that like twinkling or something? So does she have glitter all over her dress? I feel like it's the rims, right? Like it's around the edges of all the skirt in like the layers and things. I'm not really sure. I feel like here you can see a little bit of like a sparkle. So maybe it's just like in the layers of the material, which means I could kind of make layers just by adding sparkles potentially. So I'm kind of drawing a line, but moving my hand enough that the line's coming out in dots. That's kind of my intention here. So actually what I could do here is if I tried to cover all of the black outside lines with dots, then it would soften up the edges of the dress and make it look like she's got like a glitter edge, which I think is what she actually does have. So even in the darker spots, we'll just do that. And I'll do it with the light colour, but then I'll come back with the white over the top, because then it'll look like the light is bouncing in different ways. So it'll feel more glittery overall. Trying to do really light pressure to get the smallest dots I can. The smaller the better. So for our members that have just jumped on, I said earlier as well, our member live stream today after this is going to be a little bit different. Instead of like working on this further, I'm going to give you a bit of a behind the scenes look at the front camera that I'm filming for the Blender video. You've watched me do a lot of the Blender stuff, and now I'm up to the part where I'm just like filming the bits in between all the footage. So I thought it could be fun to give the opportunity to be a bit of a fly in the wall. Yeah, just kind of hang out behind the scenes for a little bit. Yeah, I don't know about doing it. Maybe you can do it down here. I might, so for these lower bits, I'll still do it, but then I might come back with a pencil afterwards to sort of just make it a little bit of a shadow, because otherwise it's a bit weird that they're sparkling in the shadows where they're not going to catch any light. But there's still a little bit of reflection on some of hers, so we can kind of, once the paint has dried, we can kind of cover it up again a little bit. So I'm only going along the rims where it's the edge of the fabric, not in the folds, because the folds wouldn't have. It's just the actual edges of the fabric that has it. Now we've got about half an hour left in this stream today. So we're probably not going to get to all the background and everything. So I'd probably rather focus on getting you really getting her finished and the dress finished. And then I'll probably try and finish the background at another time, which is often just in like a members live stream at some point or something like that. I try to get as much done as I can in these streams. You can follow along, but I'd also rather not like rush it to a point where it obviously ruins the page. So doing a whole page is always going to be a bit of a challenge trying to get it done. But I will, once it's done, which I've said about a few things and then not actually finish them, which is why the pictures never get posted. If I do finish this, when I finish this, I will post some pictures like on the community tab or on my Instagram so that you can see how it ends up. I probably should make the effort to finish this one, especially with Wicked coming out. Well, it's already out. People are going and seeing it already. Because good timing, but yeah, I haven't got to that yet. Just thinking, do I add, there's like a row that they've created here for me. So I'm going to follow that because that's almost like a layer in the tulle. So I'm happy to do that one. There we go. So what I was suggesting with this is getting a dark color. I mean, kind of, because it's not like perfectly opaque, it kind of disappears anyway. But just kind of covering up some of these areas. Actually, I should do the white first and then I can do that. Just to kind of make them a little bit more subtle for ones that are a bit too prominent. But first, I want to come with the white. And especially on some of these areas where it gets lighter, the white becomes a really good option to sort of highlight and make it look sparkly along those edges. And we can also just like add some random sparkles around because she's sparkly. This is actually a really good fine tip for like really fine details. It's allowing me to go quite small, which is really nice. The white always just adds that final touch to really bring it out.
Maybe one day you should do a special live where you finish all the art projects you've started.
I mean, assuming that I can even finish more than one in a live is probably in itself like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day we should do like a full day live stream where I just finish all my work. Like, I'd happily finish this in a live stream, but then I sort of also don't want to have people where they come watch a live stream and I'm halfway into a project that they don't get to sort of see the whole thing. So I'm sort of torn on that idea. So, but it is a good idea that we find a way to finish these that everyone can enjoy the end result. Especially when you've watched this much, we want to make sure you get to see the end. So she's actually got a pretty solid line around there, which might be easier in hindsight to do once I've done the background, but we'll at least get it on there and we can come back where it lightens the dress because it doesn't have the black outline. So even though I said I don't mind the black outlines, because she's kind of glowing, getting rid of the black outline does actually help with that a bit. So I'm not going to do this on all the folds, but I have noticed on some of her folds that there's like a pocket of light. So by me sort of doing that here, it's kind of creating that same effect. Look, her dress is starting to really come to life now with all the white details.
Sweet Haven 5 has joined the chat.
Amazing. I know I'm very quiet. I get into my focus zone. Talk a lot less when I get into my focus zone. I'm not going to add too much white down the bottom because it is supposed to be sort of in a shadow, but I still like the idea of adding a bit. She does seem to have speckles of glitter throughout a lot of it, so it's good to add some of that. Alright, so that's kind of all the glitter like on the edges and stuff. And then what I was going to do is use one of my pencils to sort of darken some of those just a little bit, hopefully not scratch the paint off in the process. Or actually, instead of that, I could use the alcohol marker because that would just soak in it, right? If we use one of the colors that I've already got, kind of just tinting it all. Some of these lower bits are going to hit the light differently, so that will just allow them to be a bit more tinted.
Did you want to recap what art supplies you've been using?
Yeah, so I've been testing out, I've got the Olo alcohol marker is what I've been using for a lot of this, and then Prismacolor pencils, and the Ohuhu white acrylic pens and the pink, so the Ohuhu acrylic pens in general, just a few of the different colours there. So that's what I've used for this. This is the Wicked colouring book, for a bit of fun. And I'm pretty happy with how it's sort of come together actually. Just looking pretty glittery. I think what I'll probably do is once I do the background eventually, I'll probably come back and add a bit more glitter because, like, why not, you know? Can never have too much glitter, right? Not for Glinda. Just trying to darken some of these glittery edges so they're not all in your face. Some of them can be a bit more discreet, especially around the bottom. But then we can bring some little sparkles back over the top. happy with her dress for now. I'm sure I'll come and play a little bit more, and even as I say that, I'm pulling out the white pen, which is a dangerous rabbit hole to go back down, because adding white details can just never end. But I can't help myself. I do need to look at fixing up her eyes here. So let's add a bit of a white dot. The thing is that in the picture, her eyes are actually facing a slightly different way, so that hasn't helped. If I can just give her a bit of her eye back, that has actually made a huge difference already. A little bit of... Oh. And then on her hair, again, this will probably help once I do everything else. Just to kind of... yeah, add the detail. I wasn't intending on getting rid of the black lines, and then I kind of accidentally just did. So still going, oh, Jill, thank you. We've got a super chat from Sweet Haven 5. Amazing, thank you. Really appreciate it. And I like a little dancing thing that says #1 fan. I don't know if you chose that or if it just kind of came up, but that's fun. All right, Shane, what are we talking about? What's happening? What's everyone talking about?
I think there's some requests to be able to see you do the bubble.
Yeah, okay. I mean, because I can't do the bubble until I do the background. So I could probably try and at least... we have half an hour. Can I do it in half an hour is the question. I can try. We can try. Just keep going with the background. Oh, all right, let's do it. All right, what do we got? Paint markers out of the way. We've got, this is very bright, but we're going to just, we're going to try and do a quick version of the alcohol marker because I can come back with the pencils even after we've done the bubble. Right, but I do need to just fill out some of these areas in the background. So I'm going to go for the quick version, so alcohol markers, and then we'll come back and really get the details right with pencils at a later time. We'll see how we go for time. So I'm trying to just fill in some of the lighter details around her here. I was going to use a color cube for the sunset, but the sunset's also just like in the picture pretty good. So I might just work with the sunset already in the scene. This side we have some more clouds and things, so we'll kind of figure that out as we go. Good thing about this is it also gives us a chance to kind of show her dress a bit better because you see it off the background. So I'm kind of doing this in circular motions because if you actually look at the scene, it's a lot of like cloudy circular sort of bits. So I'm hoping that if I kind of doing it rough like this, it'll be a lot easier to pull the colors together later. So that's kind of a good base color. I do need a lighter version. What did we have on her? That's a pretty good light version. Just for some of these areas that actually get lighter rather than darker in the background. So I'll bring some of them in. right, what do we got next? What's this one? That is way too dark. So let's find some other colours that kind of fit our scene here. This is a bit more of an orange. So that'll kind of work in some of these areas, but not too much. I'll probably layer some other stuff on top of it. This is where my swatch deck should come in handy. I need some purples, but I also need like this warm orangey colour to bring in. So I'm thinking something like this might be good. Let's see what I've got. It might look a bit different on this paper. Is that it? Let's give that a second to kind of settle and dry and see. Oh, that's very bright. See how that looks? I mean, the really bright might actually work. It's some of my side bits over here. I'm going to just ignore all the stars, because once we sort of darken everything, we can come back and add stars later. I don't think they even have stars in the original scene, so not too worried about that. That colour there's come out pretty good, so I'll bring that in a bit too. I'm being pretty rough with this just because I'm trying to make sure we have time to do it. So I'm also very much relying on probably coming back with pencils afterwards to just tidy a lot of this up. Random face coming through from the other side. All right, I need a darker range. What have we got? We've got something 2.3. Is that one I've already been using? No, I've been using these ones. Something more like this might help us, but I actually need to blend in some of these dark colors. So the 2.3 or even the 2.5 starts to get, actually here we go, 2.5 and 2.7. They're with each other. Let's see how they look on this paper. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want. To get into some of the darker colours. Perfect. So this will come in here. These markers are actually blending pretty well, given that this is not marker paper.
If you were to recommend an affordable set of alcohol markers for the casual colourer, what would they be?
I would probably go with the Ohuhu markers because they are a bit more affordable than a lot of the really fancy ones, but their quality is actually very, very good. I think unfortunately when you go cheaper than them, there's the range. The quality drops very, very quickly once you go anything beyond the Ohuhu. No. I think that's it for my dark orangey colours. Now I kind of want to move into the purple colours. So we're looking for something like these probably. And then moving into, so like the 5.7 is a good one. Let's grab that before I forget. 5.7. Where is it? It might be on its own on my tab. This is why I need the big spinny thing to look at them all properly. There's a few that are halves, which this one might be, so it's probably fallen over. All of them. Oh, there it is. No, it wasn't half. Okay. This one, 5.7. That's a really pretty color, actually. So that one, and then we're going to move into our violet range. So these ones here are really grabbing me. So I might just grab all of them and feel it out as we go. So we've got the violet 1.6, which might be on the back of anything. I'm not sure. I'll just pull out all the violets and see. That's 2.6. Well, that was one of them I was suggesting. 2.6 and then 1.6. Where's my 1.6? 1.6, it's there, right in my hand. Okay, so I've got that, and then the 2.6 was the other one I had there anyway. And then this 2.8 is somewhere. Might come back to that anyway. Because then the other thing I need to think about is this kind of blue, which is actually more in the blue-violet range. So something more like one of these, my BVs. So I do have the 1.4, that might work. And maybe something lighter for up here, like the 1.1. That one, there we go, okay. We've got them, let's do it. So let's start with the light colours first. These ones are actually my chisel ones, so they're going to be a little bit harder to blend in, but we'll make it work. Well, the chisel's a lot firmer than I was expecting. Not great for this particular type of colouring, to be honest. All right, I'm going to move on just because I want to get away from the chisel. That's also a chisel. Ah, no, these are all the chisel colours. All right, well, let's just put a bit in, but then we'll move on. Not going to try and blend it with the chisel because I don't like doing that. Okay. Then we can move away from them. They're actually grey, I should have known.
How do you get the whole Olo colour collection? Because apparently in Amazon, they're just in packs of 8.
You probably need to go to their website, I would say, rather than something like Amazon.
Do they have Olo markers in like art shops in the US, like Blick and stuff? Do you know? I
don't know. I know here in Australia I've seen them in some art shops. I'm actually not sure in the US. So I'm really just like adding down blotches of colour, roughly where I see them in the picture here. And then that kind of allows me to come back and blend them together a bit so we get a bit of the background, and then eventually I'll come back with some pencils to just like neaten up some of the transitions. I mean, I might not need to. The markers might work. It's just I'm being quite rough with them, so it's kind of hard to know until it comes together. This one, 6. It's a nice deep purple. Kind of using the same light pink to try and blend all of them together. rather than the other colours. Probably not the best idea, but it's working. Now I got this dark red colour. Oh, that's right, that was that beautiful colour. Yes, that's what I want. Nope, that's the wrong side. This side. There we go. This is the quietest I've been in a stream for a while. I'm just focused. I've lost track of which colour I'm using.
You need to get like a music playlist. Talked about that
I
for
mean,
a while.
yeah, everyone can put on their own music though too. Like, you don't have to rely on me for your audio provisions. Feeling quite limited by these. That's not the right one for that. By the chisel markers. So I might just have to bring back some of that purple with the pencils afterwards. It's coming together though. I'm going to have to push back the time of this a little bit just because I can't not do the bubble now. Like, we've come so close. I can't not do it now. I mean, there's almost enough here to just roll with it because it's really just about the edge, right? And then I can come and fix the rest of the background later. As long as it covers the edge of the bubble, that will give us enough to work with. Okay, where are we at? What do I need to finish to get us bubble ready? It's probably pretty much just this top section and then a bit around the edge here, and then we can be ready for our bubble, I think. All right, I think that gives us a pretty good... So I will finish the inside of her afterwards, but I want to do a bubble because we don't have long left and I do need to make sure we give our members time in their stream afterwards. So here's my plan for this bubble. Now, it's got a very strong white rim at the top and then some details around the side. So my plan, these bits here will kind of work out as we go, but I'm going to use the paint pen to create the basis. And then I'm going to use a white pencil to kind of blur the lines a bit. I might even try initially, like if I show you here just with this, I might even try initially just like smudging this around the edge just to see if that can kind of create some of that effect. Just got to be careful. Probably shouldn't be doing it with my finger, but you know, just like that. And then I'll come in with my white pencil, which is who knows where. The white pencil always disappears. Do I have a spare one? That is not a white pencil. I used to have a bunch of them in my drawer. Well, you know what would be better to smudge? This would probably be better to smudge that, right? Because then I can at least control it a little bit better. I don't know. Probably not. So yeah, we'll do the outline like that because that kind of creates that look. And then when I find my white, what would it be in? Would it be in my greys? Haha, it is. There's my white. Okay. So once this dries, I can then come over with the white to create sort of the blend from this to everything else. That's the plan. So we're kind of just winging it. So I'm going to start just by creating the outline of our bubble because it definitely shouldn't have a black outline. And we're probably going to have to do like the whole way. Well, it would be better to do the whole way around even though this doesn't go that. Let's not. Let's use the other colors to fill in the other areas. Right, so we'll start just up the top. This one kind of ends where it transitions to the other one. Little bit by little bit because I do not trust myself in trying to draw in one hit. This whole thing, and actually doing it by little bit by little bit keeps the paint flowing a bit better as well.
You can't do that thing, you know how they do the circle in one, just flick it round.
No, not in my skill set. I'm trying to decide on the side. I might because their white doesn't go around any further, so I wonder if it's worth grabbing even just another color or even just doing white around and then tinting it with the same colors that I used in the background, because that's kind of what's happened here is it's bending the light. So it's actually the same colors as the background, just in a different order. So giving myself a white basis will at least get rid of the black line. Like if you were drawing a bubble from scratch, you wouldn't need to do that. But because we're working with what's here, I do think covering the black line is probably going to give me a better starting point, so we are going to do that. Now I realise I didn't finish down here, so we're probably just going to stop about there. Now, a reminder, this is not a tutorial. I'm figuring it out. Wait to see if I pull it off before you try and do your own bubbles.
Do we need to have like a lower third disclaimer?
Disclaimer, Sarah might fail. Do not copy yet. Sarah has never drawn a bubble before.
Watch until the end of the stream before you decide.
Before you copy. Yeah. Yep. All right. Now, I did say I was going to try and blend this out, didn't I? Now that I've done all of it. So we might just do another layer. I don't know. Actually, it's probably safer, as I'm starting this already, to just do this with the white pencil. The top I can do a little bit thicker because it is quite a thick top, so that's okay. But I'm not going to do this around the whole thing. I think that would be a silly idea. So Let's sharpen our white pencil.
Liz has joined the chat.
Oh, hi Liz. Now, this side, we might, I'm kind of like, once this is dry, we can go over it with those colours. So, we do have a bit of a darker bit around the side here. So we're going to use that with this colour. So now it can tint the white and not be affected by the stuff underneath. So it kind of gets darker around this side and the dark follows up because it's bouncing off everything else. This is all light. So as long as we use the same colours from our background here, we can pull it off in theory. In theory. And then on this side, we've got a little bit of it showing up here. We'll kind of go, we use the line that they've given us as like the signal of when to change the colours. Because actually this has very, like there's like a distinct line on the edge and then everything kind of blurs. So if we kind of follow that same rule, we might be able to pull it off. I will come back and do the rest of that underneath there as well to help with that. Okay, the next colour I want to bring in is, let's go, what have we got here? We've got our rosy colour. That's a good colour for most of this, I think. Because again, it's not really white on the side. Probably actually would be smarter for me to do all of this part with pencils. But yeah, we have this changing colour around the rim on both sides. Which alcohol marker and alcohol marker isn't exactly going to give me anything. So let's move to pencils. We've got this light colour just ready to go. I do need to tint the rest of this here actually, so let's do that first. What colour we got here? The problem is now I'm rushing. I've accidentally put the white marker on that. Probably didn't let it dry enough. Or the alcohol's broken down the acrylic. I don't know. I didn't think that would do that, but maybe it did. We can even get some of our other colour markers, the acrylics.
Liz is apparently in the lunchroom at work. Maybe we should like ring her work and see if she's lying and watching your stream instead of working. Yeah.
This is the part right now where, just to be clear, I have absolutely no confidence in this. But I'm just going to keep doing it anyway. It's like, we want to see you do the bubble. Oh dear. We may regret this decision, but we'll be fine. Okay. Let's fill out some of this side. Again, I'm just copying, right? So noticing that here, the whole bubble really happens just around the rim. They've not really done anything in the middle. So we can kind of mimic that a little bit. This has like a big reflection here, which I'm probably going to need the white pen back for. And it will help when I come back and do more pencils around the outside to sort of frame it a bit better as well, because then we can kind of separate the bubble from everything else a little bit more. So like, I'm not too worried, even though I do feel like I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm not too worried because that's a pretty common feeling for me when I do these projects.
Everyone in the chat has confidence in you.
Oh, you guys are amazing. For me, it's about, again, not trying to look at this as a bubble, but trying to look at all the bits and just go, okay, what colours do I see here? And if I was to like isolate this one part of the picture, where now I'm not looking at a bubble, I'm looking at this strip of colour that happens to sit on here and will eventually look like a bubble. And it's like, if I can just focus on recreating the strip of colour, it will look like the picture in the end. So that's kind of my approach. So in this case, as much as we usually think bubbles are lighter on the outside, it's actually darker along here than what's on either side of it. So that's what I'm drawing. Even though that feels counterintuitive because it's reflecting. So it's reflecting stuff from all around it. And sometimes the stuff it's reflecting is darker, and so it reflects the darkness. Also just kind of grabbing random colours because that's just easier. What have we got here? Kind of want more of them. Oh, I've kind of got the orange covered there actually. I need to get more into this darker colour again. What's this one? That's really dark. We can make it work. I mean, this is also actually, like, the reason I'm not stressing over this, even though I'm not confident in it, is because this is actually the part of art that I enjoy, of, like, trying to mimic the colour and copy the colour. It's actually the kind of colouring I probably enjoy the most, is trying to copy a reference photo rather than doing something on my own from scratch. Like, I find this to be more enjoyable. So, I don't mind it, even if it feels like it's not necessarily getting where I expect. I think that's actually going to be a good black raspberry, it's called, a good colour to help me finish off the background when I'm done. So I'll try and remember to keep this one aside because I think it's a good colour. On this side of the bubble, there seems to be a bigger jump between the outside and the inside. So I'd like to try and capture that a bit as well. I mean, it's starting to look bubble-ish. I haven't done a lot of the light spots yet, and we don't really have any reflections in the middle because I would have liked to do them after finishing the background. But I think you can start to see how it's coming together a bit. Okay, where's my white pencil? I had it just a minute ago and it's gone. Where is it? Who can see it? There it is, right in front of me. Okay, so this, I actually, no matter what brand I'm using with other stuff, I always come back and use the Prismacolor white because it stands out so well from the background. So I'm gonna very lightly try and just do a layer of this on the top half because that's kind of what they've done. The only difference is this has a lot more bubble before it hits her head. This doesn't, so I have to keep that in mind of, unless I want to cover her up, being careful with that. So I think because light is like the biggest part of white, like how we see bubbles, I will then go over this again with the white paint pen, but I want to just use this to sort of blend the white paint pen out into the background. And the paper is not very forgiving with this, so I am hitting some limits pretty quickly in how much I can do this. Some areas it's just not working at all. That's all right. That's why the paint pens come in handy, because nothing can stop a paint pen. At least that's what it seems like. I do feel like I need to just fill in some of this backing here so that I can do the highlight, but I don't know if I want to use colours quite this dark. I say as I just go for it. What's this one? No, that's blunt. That's not going to get me anywhere. Just trying to figure out what colours I can use just with my pencils here to just do a little bit of work in this area so that I can put the big highlight on top of it, because I think that's going to help a lot with the look of this. What do I need now? A little bit of almost a blue, really. I've got any blues. Oh, this is not even a Prismacolor, but it might work. It's Artex. So I'm not going to finish all of that. I just wanted to give myself enough that I can then put this giant reflection on top, which I'm probably not going to be able to do with the pencil now. It might be a bit too, well, it's working a little bit, but I'll probably come back with the pen. We're kind of getting there. Sometimes if I don't want like a really strong white, I just smudge it in. Really technical process, you know. I do want to get some little highlights along here. I do think it's the final tiny little highlights that usually make something like a bubble. That's a bit too much. Shane, what do you think?
I think it looks very good, very colourful. Do you need to put some kind of like glaze on top of her so that she's not so like, because she's like in the bubble?
Well, that's what I was saying about that they actually haven't done that in the picture. They've instead just used other bubbles to kind of help. And I kind of didn't want to glaze her for the same reason of like, you lose her if you do that. I think maybe it's just about using my white here to have the bubble fade out a little bit more. So yeah, I might cover her at the top a little bit just to make sure it feels round, you know, which will help a bit more when I do come back and sort of finish the background as well. Maybe I should even just add some other bubbles because that will help sort of define it a bit more. I think overall I don't want to cover her up, so to speak.
Or maybe like a tiny bit over like the top of the crown, because then it gives you that sort of without taking away from her.
I mean, I do need to still draw her crown, which I was going to do in like this kind of thing. So it will feel less like it's attached later. It's also just like a tiny little extra reflection along here. It needs to be like perfect if it's the bubble, which is hard to do. I think it's one of those things that like I could probably play with it for 20 more hours. I mean, at a glance, I think like here, that for me when I was looking close at it was like, what am I doing? But now when I sort of stand back and look at it, it's like, okay, no, I can see it there. There's definitely a bit of work still I could use to improve some of the bits down the side, but like overall, it is achieving that look that I was trying to go for in feeling like it's the rims of the bubble. And maybe, yeah, part of it's just bringing back in some of these other paint colours as well, just around some of the edges. But I think to a certain point, it's also just kind of about picking when to walk away, which I'm clearly not good at. The hardest part for me is walking away and stopping. Yeah, I mean, it has come together pretty well. I've also got, once I sort of do more of the background, like just darkening around the rim there might help the inside to naturally feel lighter. Because instead of then making the inside lighter, you make the outside darker, you know? So that's my other approach I can take as I get a bit further on in like doing this background. Just even like that, you know? That's already helped a little bit, I think, in separating so that the bubble feels brighter. Do you agree with that? Is that kind of helping a little bit?
Yeah, I think so.
Just creates a slight extra separation. Not for all of it, because some of these bits down here, it actually does kind of get lighter again. It's just creating that edge, whatever that edge is made out of. It's me just looking at the thing. I mean, I feel like this is at least an okay spot to stop because we've gone overtime and I do have to go have myself a little bit of lunch before I come back and do the rest of this. I think what I'd like to do in finishing off this piece is, work on the background a bit more, get that done. Probably will add some more bubbles because I think they just create an interesting perspective, even though that's sort of... I don't know if she actually like has all the other bubbles around her in the movie or not, but I feel like that could be just a fun little extra to do. And then obviously building the stuff behind her, that'll probably be a pretty simple, just like 2-color thing, because I don't want it to take away from her. And yeah, I might even then at the end just darken up some of the shadows underneath her and I don't really know what I want to do with all this down here. Part of me just wants to like make it a silhouette, but that's kind of cheating. So look, I'll come and I'll figure that out at some point. I just don't want that to distract from her. Like I want her to be the center of this. And I feel like she has become that pretty well. Oh, it's so hard not to just keep playing and keep tweaking. But I will finish up because I know everyone's stayed for a lot longer than usual. My computer's gone to sleep, which is not helpful for me to read everyone's comments. Here we go. It's good to, like, a lot of people are saying here, yes, it looks like glass or a bubble, which is great because that's what I was going for. So yeah, I think a lot of it is like just stepping back and having a look at it, I think helps a lot. And you got to remember the inside. Like I haven't finished all that sky, so that will help as well when that's all done. So I do think the bubble worked. It's just hard because we don't have full context yet of everything else. So it'll be good. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me, for sticking around for a little bit extra. For those of you that want to jump into our members stream, we'll push it back a little bit just because I'll go have some lunch. So we'll say like 40 minutes from now, which is about half an hour later than usual. Is that right, Shane?
Well, we can go for 1 o'clock or 1:15. So
let's do 1 o'clock, which is 40
40
minutes from
minutes.
now. And what we're going to be doing is behind the scenes of me filming the next part of my video. That is the front camera stuff. So you get to watch me work through a teleprompter and repeat things a few times. And it's also the time of day when we start getting trucks and things like that. And for our main videos, that means redoing some stuff. So it's a bit of a fly in the wall behind the scenes moment. And you can ask questions. There's not as many members, so I usually pay a lot more attention to the chat because we'll see how we go. But yeah, please join me if you remember. In 40 minutes, we'll do that. And
Silver Plus members.
Silver Plus
we'll
members,
see a,
yes.
Members live stream come up shortly after this one, and you'll be able to hang out there and wait for Sarah to jump in.
Yeah. So, thank you, everyone, and I'll leave it there. Have a good day.